Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode 49. We're almost at our year. Today with Cassie Webb on the Mississippi Gulf Coast and Heather Kusiba in the East Seattle area. And today we're just going to give a quick market update. But you know what's coming up, Heather?
What's that?
Reviewing our predictions from
Oh,
last year. Seeing how we fared, and then giving our predictions for next year. So that'll be coming up, and that'll be super fun to look at. So, yeah, everything's good. We were gone for a week or two, I think. We've been on a little sabbatical, but here we are. And Heather, why don't we start with you? Why don't you tell us what's going on in your market?
All right. So my market has been a little interesting. I will give you a heads up. The numbers aren't like mind-blowingly crazy, but what is interesting, just as a aside, is typically when you get into fall, the market kind of starts slowing down and continues that way pretty much until the new year, and then it'll slowly start ticking back up again. However, for us, it's going the opposite direction. We're actually trending up right now, which has been really interesting. So, for example, this is the first time in, I want to say at least 6 months, where we have actually lowered in our amount of inventory. And as a reminder, for those who might not have heard in the past, inventory is basically how long would it take to sell through what is currently on the market. So in this case, it's saying it would take 1.2 months to sell through any active listings on the market. It's been pretty much 1.5 to 1.3 for the past 6 months to a year. And now it's fallen down to 1.2 for the first time in a while. So that has been really interesting. We haven't necessarily had any more homes going on the market. You can see here that, yes, there are a few more homes than this time last year, but it's not anything crazy. It's just buyers are finally at their wits' end saying, we need to buy something. And now that all of our tech, which we're really, really heavy in here, was all work from home, and now everybody is starting to demand their workers to come back into the office. So we're seeing a lot of shuffling right now. And Amazon, which is one of our biggest employers in the area, is requiring everybody back in the office 5 days a week starting January 1st. So yeah, we're going to see a big shift. We expect Microsoft and some of the other big wigs in our area to kind of follow suit sometime next year. But with that said, even though the market has been kind of slow and unpredictable the last year, we've still seen a 9% increase in equity year over year. So a home that you might have purchased last year at 1.42 is now worth 1.55. And what's really interesting, and this doesn't really cover, is that we're seeing very much pockets. Like you can have two completely identical homes. They will be the same exact layout, the same exact age, similar setups and staging and all that, yet one will sell almost immediately and the other one will sit for months on end. And it is so bizarre. It's the first time I've seen that in my short 4 years in the business. So it's been really interesting trying to kind of predict, okay, yes, like we need to price this house competitively if you need to sell versus, it'll sell kind of regardless of what you do with it, much like COVID times were. But with that said, we're also seeing things basically we're seeing an uptick in things going multiple offers again. So for example, our condo market has been pretty much dead in the water for the past year or two. And one of my clients actually went to go make an offer on a place the other day, and they ended up having 6 offers, and it went like 6 or 7% over asking price, which is crazy for the condo market, at least here. So we are seeing an increase in multiple offers from September. And we're seeing a very slight increase of price changes, but overall, it's been kind of steady, if that makes sense. With the average home going 4% over list price when it is multiple offers.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, I mean, this is, I think, one of Cassie and I's favorite tools or things to look at is the cost of waiting a year. Like, it's, if you purchased a home this time last year, you would be paying $3,840 less in your mortgage per year than if you were to purchase today. Mm-hmm. So it is always super fascinating to see this difference, even with the interest rates being as volatile and weird as they've been. We're still seeing that trend in the equity gain. So anyways, that is pretty much the gist of my stuff. How about you, Cassie?
Yeah, well, that was very interesting, especially with it being as cold. Well, is it cold right now?
It has gotten cold, so we've seen a little ups and downs. I think today are like high of 50, but okay. There are a few days where I'm walking the dog in the morning, it's like 39 degrees. So
yeah,
everything's been all over the place here. This is the most bipolar part of the year for us in every aspect. Whether housing market, who knows?
Well, I can only imagine though how much of an impact that shift from working remote to working in office is, because so many people made lifestyle and housing adjustments based on working from home. And now, as that shifts, then, the migration, I guess you'd call it migration patterns, will shift as well. So, so ours did something a little bit different today. Usually I talk primarily about Harrison County. If anyone wants a copy of these slides, I'm happy to send them over. I know they're a little bit hard to see on the phone, but this is Harrison County is the orange line. Jackson and Hancock County is the bottom line. I usually use Harrison, and you can see because it just has the most data. So this is our numbers for sale. This is to make it a little like smooth out the line so you can see a little more of where the trends are. I did each data point is 3 months rolling activity, and then just pulled this today. So we can see like number of homes for sale, where hi, everybody was like, hey, put the home on the market because things are selling like hotcakes. And then of course we had the interest rates start leveling out, and then things are, picking back up as far as the amount of inventory that we have. So right now, for example, we've got for October 2024 over 1,000 houses for sale in Harrison County. But you'll see here, like we've got these are all following a very similar trend pattern, which I thought was interesting. And you can see here like 789 closed sales. So sorry, I just realized it's not sharing. Okay. And then this is the actual number that closed. So you'll see where the number that have been for sale has been higher, of course, than the number that are sold. And so what that's done, as you kind of referenced the supply of homes for sale, we saw, of course, it got all the way down. I know this isn't unusual for you, Heather, but for us being in like the 1 month of inventory, it's just like mind-blowingly low inventory. So 6 months is considered just across all of real estate time, not necessarily in recent years, but 6 has kind of been 5 to 6 is where we're like right in a balanced market between like a buyer and seller's market. We're kind of in the middle. And so when, of course, January 2019, that's kind of where we were across the board. It's right in that neutral market. And then, of course, it got to be more and more of a seller's market to the extreme down here. I should have pulled an all-time, but I'm sure all-time, like it was never even remotely close to less than 1.5, months of inventory, meaning that if no homes came on the market in 1 point whatever months, we would have sold all the homes that are for sale. And so now here we are, Hancock County It's a smaller county. It's actually crossed over into Buyers Market, and Harrison and Jackson are still a seller's market, but really kind of, I'd consider them more of a balanced market at this point. And then the median sales price, I actually did the same report, but kind of two different things. So this is, again, the 3 months rolling activity. And this is a 5-year span. So taking us back pre-COVID. So we can kind of see, because I think that there is like people talk like if you just listen to kind of how some people talk about our housing market, it's as if we had like a massive spike that we have to kind of bounce back from. But really, if you're looking at it, and if I go back even further, it's, you know, you'll see the same trend line. It hasn't been that dramatic. Like we've just been, the market's been steadily increasing. Of course, inflation's been increasing. And then last, I just wanted to show you guys you'll see why I do the rolling data here, because this is just really hard to read, but I did think it was interesting. So this is just showing only 1 year. So we're really kind of zooming in here, and then showing the price, not a rolling data point, like each data point is 1 month of activity. And what I found really interesting about this is, you know, we're looking at from January 2023 to today, kind of what it's done. And it, like, our highest prices were, you know, right around this like May of 2023, and then there was this big dip right here, January of 2024, and then they jump back up in February. And it's kind of going back to what you were talking about a minute ago with like the cost, your cost of waiting, which we always just love that one. But it's there's a saying that says like time in the market versus timing the market. And so it's like, yeah, in hindsight, we can say maybe there was a better or worse month to buy a house. But overall, I think that the people who have, you know, went ahead and started that, you know, saying the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the next best time is today. And so I think that's where a lot of people are finding. I'm really excited about our reflecting on our predictions from last year coming up, and and seeing kind of where we landed. And it wasn't just our predictions, to be fair. It was The Economist, and then kind of what we're seeing and feeling as we're going into the next year. And then also The Economist. So one big thing, I was on the road last week, guys, so sorry I missed you. But the election is behind us now. So we always tend to have a little contraction leading up to an election, regardless of your political stance. And then the year following, kind of do a little catch up from that lack of activity in the election year. And that's been pretty consistent over time. So it'll definitely, I think that'll definitely factor into my predictions for next year. And, you know, so I'm excited. So any last words, Heather?
Not really. You really nailed it on the head. I'm very excited to look back. I already know I am going to have to be correcting a couple of my predictions, partially because things just kind of didn't go as expected, that were completely out of our control. So it'll be really fun to review those and kind of use those for our next year predictions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we will see you guys next week. Same time, same place. Hopefully a little earlier. We had a few technical difficulties getting on, but yeah, we will see you guys soon. Bye.
Awesome.